Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. With us now in 2022, I would like to take a look at Alpha 317 and see what features are currently slated to release. As always, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members, in particular to my latest channel members Cat and Squirrel and Ulrich Voss, and to my latest patron Spawn 2K3. Thank you guys so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. So Alpha 316, as we know, is releasing in two parts. We are already playing the initial patch, which is actually still running on the 315 codebase, and sometime before 317 releases, we don't know when yet, hopefully January, more likely February, hopefully not March. Alpha 316.1 will come with both the laser trip mines and these sexy looking new derelicts, which we have only really seen one new derelict version of the Caterpillar, but it does look incredible, and I also assume that the build will then switch over to the actual 316 codebase. Now once we get to the end of March though, a new build is set to release, which is Alpha 317. Now the odds of everything that is currently listed on the 317 release view coming as it is very slim, and I personally do expect to see a few features get either knocked back due to it being a little bit of a fallout patch for 315 or 316, but of course there could also be a lot of features that get released with it that we do not see yet. So today I will be running through the 317 release features as it stands today, and of course if things do change around, which does seem quite inevitable, I will do an updated version as we get closer to release. So let's firstly kick off with characters. We have the DNA head texture update, which was one that was moved from Alpha 316 into 317 as it was not ready. So I'm hoping that because of that, it is now closer to release and it won't slip from 317. But this brings some new head textures, updated hairs I think as well, so our characters will look a lot better, and also they should persist between play sessions. Now for locations, the last main landing zone hospital is coming in with 317, which is the Maria Pure of Hearts. We did just get Art Corps Hospital, but this will mean that the last hospital for Stanton will be done, and the Montreal team, who are the ones responsible for the hospitals and space clinics, can finally move on to new projects, like these derelict settlements. I hope that they get moved on to something like that, because they are a very talented team in the Montreal studio, and I would love to see what they're capable of beyond hospitals. Now moving on to gameplay, there are 7 entries for gameplay, and I will go through them to start with in order of personal excitement. So first up we have the player interaction experience tier 0, which is also known as PI. Now PI is a holistic array of complementary features and systems, all relating directly to the player. And these PI updates are split into 3 tiers, with this one being tier 0, we also have tier 1 and tier 2. And the player interaction experience covers the player's status, item statuses, environmental statuses, as well as interactions with both the game world and the objects within them. So with this tier 0 specifically covering hints and interactions, which may not sound all that exciting on face value, but considering that interactions are extremely important, especially in a game like Star Citizen, having a more refined interaction system with all of the items in the world is a much needed improvement. What this exactly entails we are yet to see, but hopefully it is just a great quality of life update all round. Next we have the second 316 Fallout feature, which is the mining gadgets. Now these are devices that players need to physically attach to the rocks that they wish to mine, altering the rock signature to make it either easier, safer or quicker to mine. A nice addition, but one of the least exciting features for me out of this list. Next up we have the NPC taxi missions tier 0. Now this is actually getting really hard. I regret saying that I will rank them in order of excitement, as they are all pretty exciting from here on out, but I guess compared to the rest, this interests me the least, but I'm still really looking forward to seeing what this will involve. At the moment, I think it'll be basically picking up an NPC that has requested a transportation mission from a space station, waiting for them to get on board your ship, and then flying them to another space station of their choosing. Now, I'm sure that for many this may sound a little dull, but this is actually the precursor missions to the passenger transport profession, so running commercial or domestic flights using the Starliner. Now these missions will be rewarded based on speed, safety and comfort, so for all of you fancy ship owners out there, get those engines started, as those ships will finally have a purpose. But what excites me more about this mission is what it is testing. Having an AI capable of navigating out of a space station, using the transit systems, entering the player's ship and then exiting at the other side and making their way in to the space station, it's quite a huge milestone in the Star Citizen project, and it does open up the doors for much bigger and better things for NPCs, like even NPC crews, for example. They need to be able to board your ship and move around your ship, so getting this in for 3.17 is a good milestone for the rest of the NPC features. Right, so these last 4 features for gameplay are almost equal in excitement for me, but I guess I will start with ship-to-ship refueling, which is the third feature that slipped from 3.16 to 3.17, and this is using the Starfarer to refuel ships anywhere in space. Basically, wherever the player ends up, they can request a refill, and then the Starliner can respond to them and go and fill them up. So Starfarer owners finally making a living from their ship the way that it was intended to. Now, I'm really loving the expansion of these new professions, just like how we saw the medical profession expand in 3.15 to make it a bit more viable. This is now introducing the refueling profession, bringing in a new game loop, and that's what really excites me, as I always look forwards to testing these systems out with the org while learning and training. Of course, with it being tier 0, it won't be without its teething problems, but over time it'll get ironed out. Now, persistent hangars are next. Finally, we will have our very own hangar to store our ships, items, equipment, pretty much everything that we have, a location that is all ours and we can return to at any time. We do know that with 3.18 the cargo is becoming physicalized, and from there on any purchased cargo that is at the location of our hangars will be delivered to our hangar via a freight elevator, and we will then need to physically move those onto our ships for transportation by hand or using a tractor beam, which may not sound too fun for some people, but for the initial implementation it will just be using tractor beams lugging individual boxes. Later down the line there will be an option to expedite it in some way, maybe for example hiring an NPC to come along and help, but it does sound like that's not going to happen straight away. Now, these hangars will be instanced to begin with, but players will be allocated a set entrance each time to give the impression that you are entering the same hangar every time you go there. But this is a big feature, and you'll be able to leave your crap lying around all over the hangar, on the floor, anywhere you want, and when you return it'll still be sat there waiting for you to pick it up. So for example, you could display your subflare or the items that you find on your travels, making this hangar a bit more personal to you. A huge feature that does pave the way for players to feel like they are actually living in the world and not just logging in and then Alt F4ing back to reality. Now, to help with the persistent hangar feature, we will be getting a new mobiGlas app called the Hangar Manager app. Now, this says it emulates the functionality of the ASOP terminals, allowing us to spawn ships in the hangar that we need, claim insurance, and access to the various landing services to perform maintenance and such. So no longer will we be needing to catch a train and running to the ASOP terminals at the spaceports every time we log in. We will have our own personal hangar to mess around with our ships and stuff. It would be good if we could log out in the hangar, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. But the fact that this is currently slated for Alpha 3.17, so at the end of March this year, so 3 months away, does not seem real. So the final gameplay feature, and probably the most exciting for me personally, is the ability to finally sell items back to shops. Looting brought a ton of gear available to collect and use, but if you don't want to use it, then it just literally goes to waste. So having the ability to gather it all up, take it to a shop and sell it to make money will be a major milestone in Star Citizen, becoming more of that MMO. It also expands the options for making cash, and this will mean you may not even need to do a mission to make money. Although I'm pretty certain the amount of loot available right now in the boxes, especially at outposts, will either be heavily reduced or become illegal to take, but loot goblins like myself will pretty much gather up everything during a mission, looting everyone, and then selling it on to make extra cash. So lastly, we have the ships currently scheduled for release in 3.17. Firstly, we have the RSI Scorpius Heavy Fighter, which I must include in my ships of the roadmap series, but this looks set to be quite a beast, and I do look forward to seeing what it is capable of when we get it in the verse. The second ship is the MISC Hull A. Now, whether this is released before the Hull C is yet to be seen. As it looks right now on the release viewer, it should release before the Hull C, but the Hull C was always the one set to come first until it was shoved into 318. Now the Hull C does require the cargo refactor. I do wonder if the Hull A can come without the cargo refactor and just have them displayed on the external spindles, or empty but full, if you get what I mean. Whether CIG intend to push this back to 318 or 319 to bring the Hull C first, I don't know. Hopefully they will just release the Hull A with 317 and we can finally check out the first Hull series ship in the PU, as the Hull series are a pretty legacy set of ships. So fingers crossed it doesn't move, but you never know. So there you have it. That is what the Alpha 317 is looking like at this time, but as mentioned before, I am expecting big changes. Fingers crossed these big ticket items remain where they are. I do expect to see a new ship, and if I was to guess, which is a complete guess, I would say maybe a refinery ship, as for some reason ship refining was brought way forwards from when it was originally scheduled. With watching the roadmap, it was actually, I think, finished last year, where before it was scheduled for sometime like June or May or even July. So that would be my guess, but I don't know. But do be sure to let me know what your favourite 317 feature is, and if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, come and hang out with us over at twitch.tv/SuperMacBrothers Ryan. You're all more than welcome. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does do the channel a big favour, and tick that bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.